Hey, I'm Noel Powell with creationeffects.com, and in this video I'll be showing you this high quality heat haze or heat shimmer effect. It's a free preset, so you can go to the link in the description, download it for free, install it, and then you'll always have access to it in After Effects. So in this video I'll show you how to install it and how to apply it to your footage or scene, and I'll do some examples scenes so you can see how I use it. It's actually very flexible. You can adjust the blur and the warping separately. You can customize the detail and the direction that it moves, and you can limit the heat haze to a specific area and have the intensity fade out so that it gets less and less warped or blurred. And it has a few different automatic looks that you can choose, like underwater or jet engine, so we'll look at those. But real quick, here's a few examples of how I've used the effect. I've been using heat haze in my templates for years, so most recently I did Landscaper, which lets you make any type of landscape you want in After Effects. And it comes with 30 finished landscapes, so you can see several of them here with a bit of heat haze to make the scene look hotter or just kind of make it more interesting with movement. I've also used the effect in underwater scenes, so I made a template called Schools a while back that lets you create underwater scenes and animate custom schools of fish in After Effects. So this heat haze effect is part of that one, although I don't call it heat haze, obviously I call it watery distortion or something. Also, I made a fire and smoke template to let you add custom fire to your footage or motion designs. So here in this clip you can see me completely overdoing it with the heat haze. And I've used it for lots of other projects over the years, so I found it to be very useful. It has a lot of applications, and hopefully you'll find it useful as well. So you can go to that link in the description to download it. It's free, and then you can follow along here. And obviously I'm hoping you'll poke around the website while you're there and see the other cool effects. Alright, so after you download the file, you'll have this zip file here, and you can just open that up. And in the folder, you'll see two different presets. And I'm on a Mac, so I'll just show you where these go. If you're on a PC, I'll put up the location on your hard drive of where to put these files. But for Mac users, I'll open a new window and just go to Applications, and then Adobe After Effects, and then Presets. And if you haven't done it already, I recommend you create a new folder and call it Creation Effects, and then any presets you download from the site will be organized in here. And these can just be dragged into the folder, and then they'll show up in After Effects in the Animation Presets folder. So let's go over to After Effects, and I've got an HD comp here, and I've got some footage already imported. I'm just going to put this desert clip in here. Alright, to find the heat haze presets, you'll just go to your Effects and Presets panel, and if you don't see it, just go to Window and Effects and Presets, and then open up the Animation Presets folder and open up Presets. So here's our Creation Effects folder. I'll open that up. And it hasn't shown up yet, but we can just refresh the list like this. And now it should be there. Yep. So don't confuse the heat haze effect with this haze effect. This is an earlier preset that I made. So this is actually more like fog, 3D, or atmospheric haze. You can rename it if you want to. Heat haze is the one that we want, and this effect requires two different layers. So first, we're going to make a map layer, and to do that we need to create a new solid. So we'll go to Layer, New Solid, and we'll call it Map Layer. Doesn't matter what color it is. And then we can apply this preset. We can just double click it, or we can drag it onto there. And that'll add a bunch of effects. And I like everything to be neat and compact, so I'm going to close all of these effects, and I'll just open up the map layer controls. And I'll expand these sections of controls here. So these are the controls we'll use to customize the map, or this noise texture. So this texture is what determines the shape and movement of our heat haze. And if we open up this very top section here, we got a bunch of instructions here. This is just in case you forget what you're supposed to do. Basically, it just tells you what kind of layers you need to apply this effect. We'll just close that. We don't need it. Okay, so the map layer, we can actually hide this layer if we want, and I'll put it down at the bottom so it's out of the way. And now we can actually add the heat haze effect. That can go on your footage if you want, or what I usually do is create an adjustment layer. So I'll go to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer, and I'll open up Animation Presets. And now we want this main effect, and I'll just double click it. And you can see right now it's affecting the whole clip. Everything is blurry. And that's because we need to set our map layer. We need to tell it to look at this map layer. So back on our adjustment layer, we're going to set the map layer for both the camera lens blur effect and this displacement map effect. So you can see displacement map layer, we'll set that to our map layer. And then in camera lens blur, here it is, blur map layer, we'll set that to our map layer as well. And I'm going to close these and again just open up our heat haze controls. And so these are the controls that we'll use to adjust the intensity of the effect. Let's just play that back and we'll see. So these are the default settings. It's nice and hot, probably much hotter than it needs to be, but I wanted you guys to be able to see it. You can see there's some blurring going on as well as some warping of the image. So that's these two effects, and they work together to create that heat haze effect. And you can adjust each one independently using these controls. And then also we've got the instructions on this preset as well. These are exactly the same as on the other layer. And actually for demonstration purposes, I'm going to change the noise. If I solo this layer, this is our noise right now. I'm going to use a different preset, slow and smooth. So let's see how this affects our heat haze. Yeah, I like that better for this clip, and it's probably easier to see as well. So let's look at just the blur on its own, and you'll see what that looks like. And let's look at it with just the displacement or the warping. So you can hopefully see the difference there. And like I said, you can increase the blur or the warping on either dimension, horizontally or vertical. But let's go back to our map layer, and I'm going to solo it. We've got a lot more controls on this layer, and these controls only affect the noise texture. So this is made primarily by these two effects. We got turbulent noise and a turbulent displace. This is what the noise looks like by itself. And then the turbulent displace just adds warping. And we can see if we adjust the evolution of the warp, that's what it does to the noise. And up here, we've got a group of control for each of those effects. So we've got our noise controls here, and we've got the turbulent displace controls here. You don't have to mess with these if you don't want to. It's just there if you want to play with different looks for your heat haze. So we've got a few different automatic looks. I'll show you those in a minute. Actually, if you're on one of these three presets, a lot of these controls are not going to work. So if you want to customize and make your own noise, I would just leave it on custom here, and then you can use these controls. So you can scale the width and the height to get more detail. Contrast and brightness, I'll get back to that. Travel speed, that's the speed at which the noise moves, and you can change the direction. So like if the wind is blowing, evolution speed, that's what evolution does. Just changes the shape of the noise. And complexity, that's the amount of detail. And then the turbulent displace has very similar controls. They're pretty self-explanatory. So if you do want to experiment with different kinds of noise, you can actually just open the effect and you can change the fractal type in here to get different looks for your heat haze. And if you're on one of these presets and one of these controls isn't working, just know that you can always come down here and expand the effect and expand the property you want to adjust, and just disable the expression with this little equal sign, and then you can adjust the control or keyframe it or do whatever you want with it. All right, I said I would talk about contrast and brightness. These are important because of the way they impact the blurring and the warping. So the way I have these effects set up, any part of this noise texture that's 50% gray is not affected at all. There would be no lens blur and there would be no warping on this part of your footage because it's about 50% gray. Now the darker it gets and the lighter it gets, the more blurring and warping it would receive. So that means if you like increase the contrast, oops, I'll go back to my custom preset. Now we've got a lot more white, so that's going to be more extreme. You can see a lot of the image is blurred. Now let's say you want less of the image to be affected. You could just turn down the intensity, but what if you just want small areas to be affected and then more areas that are not affected at all? Well, I put in this colorama effect here. If you want to, you can turn that on, and it basically expands the 50% gray areas. You can see what that looks like. It's less intense just because only 20% or so of the image is being affected. And you can adjust that if you want. If you expand the colorama effect and then open up this output cycle. So this wheel represents the whole spectrum of light to dark. And originally the wheel was like this. But what I did is I put these little markers in here that are 50% gray. And if we move these further apart, now we've got this big section of our spectrum that is just gray. Something else you can do if you want more control is you can have more than one map layer. You can make a map layer for the lens blur effect and a map layer for the displacement map if you want to control them independently. You could just duplicate this and customize this one however you want using the controls. And then in here, just set the map layer to that other layer. All right, let's look at a few examples using the footage I imported. And let's bring in this skeleton trees. So this is a landscape I made with the landscaper template. The original clip had camera movement in it, but I got rid of that just so we can get a better sense of how the heat haze affects it. All right, so on my map layer, you can see right now it's moving to the right, and on our footage, the wind is blowing to our left. So I would probably change this to go in this direction. That's probably way too intense. I wouldn't want it to be that strong, but whatever. All right, let's go to the next clip. I've got an underwater clip here. This one I made with the schools template. Making a scene like this, it just takes minutes. You basically, the underwater scene is already there along with a bunch of other ones, and then you just animate one dolphin to move across the frame, just 2 position keyframes, and the rest of it is all automatic. All right, so let's add an underwater haze or distortion to this. I'll go back to my map layer, and we've actually got a preset for that. This is what the noise looks like. All right, so let's talk about how to limit the haze to a specific area and also how to fade it out. For that, we're going to be using this jet footage. This is just a free clip I downloaded from pixabay.com. And I actually don't need this rotation movement. I'm just gonna choose a still frame from here. This is the frame I want, so I'll just add a freeze frame here. And I'm just gonna show you real quick how I set up this scene. I think people like to see how I do these things. Actually, I have no idea if they do or not. I'm totally making that up. But as my mom used to say when we were little, we're doing it and you're gonna like it and you're gonna smile. Okay, so I would add a color key effect or a key light effect to get rid of that green background. And we'll sample this green color. Oops, let's get rid of dolphins. I'm gonna hide my map layer. Okay, so we also need this runway clip here. I'm gonna put that underneath my jet. And I'm just gonna drag it over here. And let's make this full resolution. It's 2023, we're not cavemen, we can do this in full res. And I think I'll add a shadow to this real quick, just to make it blend together better. I'll select the runway clip, and I'm just going to draw a quick shadow. Alright, and now I'm going to I'll add a brightness and contrast to that clip. And in the timeline, I'll open up brightness and contrast, and in compositing options, I'm going to add a new mask reference, and it automatically is pointing to our mask. So now whatever changes we make in the brightness and contrast, it's going to be limited to just this area. So we can just darken this, and I'll hit F to open up the feather property for that mask. Feather it out a little bit. Okay, so I'll put my adjustment layer above that footage, and we got to change the preset on our noise. We're going to change this to Intense Jet Engine, and let's look at that real quick. Alright, so it's going the wrong way, obviously. We're going to switch that to go to the right. And so now you might think that we would add a mask to our adjustment layer. But we don't want to do that, because if we feather out the mask, you would see the warped footage on top of the original footage, and it would be like double vision. It wouldn't look good. So what we'll do is we'll add a mask to our map layer. I'll hit G to select the pen tool, and I'll just draw the general shape. I'm not going to have it come out very far. I'm going to make this pretty small, and you'll see why in a second. Alright, let's look at our map layer and see what that did. So right now it cropped out the entire layer, everything except what's in the mask. But if we add a mask reference, just like we did before in our turbulent noise effect, just go down here and add a new mask reference. It looks like I got one already. We'll just delete that one, and we'll set this to mask 1. Now the only thing affected by that mask is that noise texture. And it's showing whatever other effects we have on this layer underneath it, which if you see here, we've got a fill effect that creates that 50% gray everywhere else. And remember, 50% gray removes all the blurring and warping. So this part's not affected, this part is, and now we can just feather this out. You could feather it with the mask feather property, but I'm going to want more control, so I'm going to use this mask feather tool. And I'm going to unsolo that layer so we can see. Make sure the mask is selected. So right here I don't need too much feather. But this part's going to be way feathered out. You may have to add a bunch of points to get the shape you want. And let's have a look. Alright, we're not done yet. I see some things here. And never mind that there's a military aircraft at a civilian airport. That's just how they do things here, okay? So deal with it. So you notice how this warp is going up and down and side to side. It's kind of all over the place. That's because we've got that turbulent displace effect on our map layer. And we don't really need that. Especially when we've got a mask on here, because what it's actually doing is it's warping the mask. So we can turn it down if we want, or I'm just going to hide it. It's not that important. And another thing is heat rises, so I feel like we should be seeing some heat up here, some heat haze, but maybe less intense. So what we can do is add another adjustment layer, and we'll put it underneath this one, and it'll point to another map layer. So let's duplicate the map layer, and for this map layer we're going to make it slow and smooth. And in our controls we're going to have this rising upward, maybe not straight up, but like at an angle. And we want to get rid of that mask. Nope, no we don't. We just want to make this feather higher. So it'll still fade out in intensity, but it'll just extend higher. Okay, and let's also duplicate our adjustment layer. And for this one, we'll put this down below. We just got to change the map layers to map layer 2 in both of these effects. And we've still got our crazy high settings from the jet engine, so we'll turn that back down. These are the default settings. And let's look at that. All right, I think that's a big improvement. And I should also mention that we can animate the mask. So if you have an object that's moving and you need the heat haze to follow, you can just animate the mask path property, and you can animate any of these controls as well, like the direction. I really like how fast and detailed it is here, and then starting up here on these buildings, you can see how it's a little slower and less detailed, and it kind of fades out. And there you go, quick and easy, mac and cheesy. I firmly believe that sometime in the near future, we'll just type into After Effects, add heat haze to the jet engine, and it'll just do it instantly. But until then, you're stuck with my preset. And if you like that, there are more free effects and free presets at creationeffects.com. And again, go watch the demo video for Landscaper. It'll knock your socks off, but in a good way. You can make any kind of 3D landscape that you want inside of After Effects, including jungles, deserts, beaches, alien worlds, fantasy landscapes, winter scenes, you name it. It includes 1,000 landscape elements. It has automatic lighting, so you can just turn the clock and see your scene at daytime or sunset or midnight and the stars come out. Or you can keyframe the clock and you get a time-lapse effect. You can add water to your scene just by drawing the water on the ground layer with the pen tool. And it's got a bunch of effects to bring your landscape to life, like custom wind and fog, clouds, waterfalls, shooting stars. And best of all, there's this really cool heat haze effect that lets you add this heat haze to... No? Okay, never mind. What else? Schools. I talked a little bit about that. It will let you quickly and easily animate 3D schools of fish that have realistic swimming and schooling behavior. And it has a bunch of underwater scenes that come with it. Also part of that same series is flocks, which lets you make realistic 3D flocks of birds to add to your shots. And also swarms, which lets you make swarms of bugs, and it's got a bunch of species to choose from. Another newish template is Creation Trippy Effects, which is a huge collection of trippy looks for your footage, as well as a bunch of psychedelic or mesmerizing animations that are completely customizable. There's Infinite Horizon, which has a lot of Sam Neill doing some really scary stuff in space. Or nope, sorry, that's Event Horizon. I meant Infinite Horizon, which lets you turn your landscape footage into mind-bending or perspective-bending scenes in 3D. And there's Micro, which I honestly didn't think was going to sell. I just started it because it seemed like fun. And 5 months later, I finished this enormous template for creating custom microscopic animations. And happy ending, it actually sells quite a bit. And also Creation Artifacts. This one lets you turn your footage into animated art in any medium that you want. So those templates and a whole lot more at creationeffects.com. So go watch some videos, pick up some free presets, and watch some free tutorials. Like this one I just finished that shows how to make 3D water in After Effects without any third-party plugins. Did you know you could make this in After Effects? Because I didn't, but now I do. And I share the whole process, so you can check out the tutorial and learn how to do that if that interests you. Alright, I've gone on long enough. Time to go. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the heat haze, and see you next time.